best practices for B2B sales success in 2025. Reset the goalposts for B2B sales success in 2025. B2B sales in 2025 rewards teams that are disciplined, targeted, and fast to add value. Prospects show up more informed, inboxes are louder, and spray and pray outreach gets punished by poor deliverability and weak conversion. The teams winning right now are treating Outbound like a measurable system, not a heroic effort by a few reps. The core shift is simple. Buyers don't need us to explain the category. They need us to help them make a decision. That means every touch has to carry a point of view, a relevant trigger, or a clear hypothesis about what's broken and how to fix it. If we can't do that in the first 10 to 20 seconds of a call or the first 2 to 3 lines of an email, we're just another vendor in the noise. In practice, sales success now looks like consistent pipeline creation from a tight ICP, clean attribution across channels, and an SDR motion that creates real buying momentum. Whether you run Outbound in-house or partner with a B2B sales agency, the standards are the same: relevance, consistency, and coaching that shows up every week. Sell into late-stage research and multi-stakeholder decisions. Modern buyers engage sales late, often after they've already educated themselves. Multiple reports put that number around 69% of the journey completed before a buyer talks to a salesperson, which compresses the time we have to create differentiation and urgency. Instead of introducing your solution, Outbound needs to translate what they already know into a sharper business case. At the same time, deals rarely hinge on one champion. Many B2B buying committees now include 8 to 13 stakeholders, which changes how SDRs and AEs must prospect. You're not just booking a meeting, you're opening a multi-threaded conversation. The best outbound sales agency playbooks build stakeholder maps early and create role-specific angles for finance, IT, operations, and executive sponsors. Internal alignment is the hidden deal killer in 2025. Gartner found 74% of buying teams show unhealthy conflict during decisions, and teams that reach consensus are far more likely to feel good about their choice. If we want higher quality opportunities, we have to enable consensus. Sharing comparison frameworks, implementation narratives, and internal why change language prospects can reuse. Start with ICP precision and data quality, not more volume. Most outbound underperformance isn't a copy problem, it's an ICP problem. When teams chase volume, they widen targeting until the message becomes generic, which tanks reply rates and burns through your total addressable market. This is where a strong SDR agency or cold email agency differentiates itself. Tight segmentation, clean data, and campaigns designed to earn attention. A practical standard for 2025 is to build your ICP from evidence, not assumptions. Pull recent closed-won deals. Look for patterns, industry, size, tech stack, triggers, and define anti-ICP just as clearly so you stop paying for bad fit accounts. Pair that with rigorous list hygiene, because good messaging can't overcome bounced emails, wrong titles, or misrouted phone numbers. This also solves the most common deliverability mistake: blasting huge lists with one template. With average cold email reply rates around 5.8%, you don't have room for waste, and scaling the wrong audience only accelerates fatigue. Instead, micro-segment by problem and trigger, so each campaign reads like it was built for that slice of the market. Build a true omnichannel motion, not disconnected touches. In 2025, prospects experience your outreach as a single journey, even if your team runs email, phone, and LinkedIn separately. When channels aren't coordinated, the buyer sees repetition without progression, and your team loses the compounding effect of "I saw you here, then here, then here." The fix is to design one integrated cadence where every step references the last and moves the conversation forward. We like to structure cadences around a single hypothesis per persona. What changed, why it matters now, and what proof you have. Email sets context, LinkedIn warms familiarity, and calls create the fastest path to truth, especially when the call opener references the prior email subject and the specific trigger. This approach is the backbone of modern cold calling services and LinkedIn outreach services that still convert despite crowded channels. You also need to acknowledge the operational constraint. Reps aren't selling as much as we think. Salesforce reports reps spend only about 28% of their week actually selling, which means process and tooling decisions directly impact pipeline. If your cadence requires 6 tools and manual research at every step, it won't scale, whether you run a cold calling team internally or through sales outsourcing. Outbound only works in 2025 when every touch earns the right to exist. Relevant target, clear trigger, one strong idea, and a next step that's easy to say yes to. Manage to realistic cold email and cold calling benchmarks. Cold outreach still works, but the bar is higher and the benchmarks are tighter. Across large datasets, cold email reply rates are hovering in the mid-single digits, and cold call conversion to meetings is commonly in the low single digits as well. That doesn't mean outbound is dead. It means your advantage comes from targeting, follow-up discipline, and message quality, not sheer activity. It's also worth grounding the conversation in ROI. When executed well, cold email remains one of the highest return channels, with estimates of $36 to $42 returned per $1 invested. Phone remains a critical lever too. 69% of buyers report accepting cold calls from new providers, and organizations that don't cold call see 42% less growth than those that do, which is why a specialized cold calling agency can be a force multiplier when you need pipeline fast. Use benchmarks as diagnostics, not as excuses. If you're below range, look first at list quality and relevance. If you're in range but pipeline is weak, look at meeting quality and multi-threading. If meetings are strong but deals stall, look at buying committee coverage and internal enablement. The goal is a repeatable engine, not a lucky month. Use AI to scale research and personalization without sounding robotic. AI is now table stakes for sales development, but only when it's used as leverage, not as a replacement for thinking. Adoption is already mainstream. 47% of sales professionals report using generative AI tools to help write outreach, and 70% say AI-assisted prospecting gets higher response rates. The opportunity is real, but the failure mode is obvious. Generic AI copy that reads like everyone else. The most reliable workflow we see is AI drafts, humans decide. Let AI pull 2 to 3 relevant insights, trigger events, tech stack signals, role priorities, propose a first-pass email, and structure a call opener, then require the SDR to spend 60 to 90 seconds tightening language, removing fluff, and adding a real point of view. This keeps the speed while protecting the one thing automation can't replicate: judgment. Over-automation also creates brand risk. If your AI system fills inboxes with vague value props, you'll blend into the noise, invite spam complaints, and weaken the domain reputation you need for future sends. Treat AI like a power tool. It makes a skilled operator faster, but it still needs standards, review, and guardrails. Run SDR performance like a system: quality KPIs, coaching, and iteration. If you manage SDRs purely by activity, dials, and emails, they'll optimize for quantity, and your funnel will fill with low-intent meetings that don't convert. A modern sales development agency model balances volume with quality: positive reply rate, meetings held, opportunity conversion, and pipeline created per rep. Those are the metrics that protect your AE's calendars and your brand's credibility. Coaching needs to be scheduled, not when we have time. Block 2 hours per week for call reviews and message testing. tag patterns in what actually works, and ship one improvement every week. New opener, new objection response, new persona angle. That cadence of iteration is how top outbound sales agency teams keep performance stable even as channels get noisier. Finally, build stakeholder coverage into your operating rhythm. A simple rule like any deal above $25K ARR must have at least 3 stakeholders identified forces multi-threading early and reduces late-stage stalls. It's one of the easiest process changes you can make to align with a world where committees are 8 to 13 people deep. Decide what to build in-house versus outsource and scale the right way. The fastest path to better pipeline isn't always hiring more reps. It's removing friction and adding proven execution. Because reps only spend about 28% of their week selling, many teams get more ROI by simplifying process, consolidating tools, and standardizing research and messaging. Once the foundation is stable, you can scale headcount with confidence instead of scaling chaos. For many teams, the right answer is a hybrid model. Keep strategy, positioning, and sales conversations in-house while leveraging sales outsourcing for repeatable, labor-intensive work like list building services, cold email operations, and B2B cold calling services. That's where an outsourced sales team can provide immediate capacity, especially if you need a cold calling agency with strong coaching, deliverability discipline, and consistent reporting. At SalesHive, we've built our approach around that reality. Disciplined segmentation, coordinated omnichannel outreach, and AI-supported personalization that still sounds human. We've helped over 1,500 companies book more than 100,000 meetings by combining experienced SDRs with scalable research and an in-house AI platform. And we see personalization lift results materially, often up to 3x versus generic outreach when the targeting and messaging are right. The next step for your team is straightforward. Audit benchmarks, rebuild one cadence as truly multi-channel, and put weekly coaching on the calendar so improvement becomes automatic.